Okay, so when you think red panda, what pops into your head? Probably this, right? This coppery-coated, mischievous-looking little guy about the size of a house cat. They're just icons of adorable, one of the most charming animals you'll find in the Himalayas. But here's the thing. As familiar as they seem, the real story is packed with surprises, some pretty big secrets, and a fight for survival that is way more urgent than most of us realize. Seriously, what we think we know? That's just scratching the surface.
For starters, we pretty much have to rethink its entire identity. Science just, well, rewrote the book on this animal. And it all kicks off with a massive misunderstanding we've had for ages.
Check this out. For almost 200 years, scientists thought the red panda was just one single species. But then, a groundbreaking genetic study back in 2020 completely blew that out of the water. It turns out there are actually two distinct species. And the genetics show they've been on separate evolutionary paths for a really, really long time.
So, let's break it down. On one side, you've got the Himalayan red panda. You'll find this one in places like Nepal, Bhutan, and India. It usually has a lighter colored face and fur. Then you have the Chinese red panda over in China and Myanmar. This one's got a darker coat and these really distinct, dramatic rings on its tail. The crazy part? They split off from each other about 250,000 years ago, probably because glaciers physically separated them way back in the Pleistocene era.
And get this. Here's another twist for you. You know how people sometimes call it the lesser panda to tell it apart from the giant panda? Well, that's totally backwards. The red panda was actually discovered and described by science way back in 1825. That's a full 44 years before the giant panda. So yeah, the red panda, it's the original panda. And even though they share a name, they're not even close relatives. The red panda is in a family all its own, Ailuridae.
This also shows you just how far its cultural reach goes. In China, one of its traditional names is Huohu, which translates to Firefox. Sound familiar? It totally should. That ancient nickname is the direct inspiration for the Mozilla Firefox web browser. Pretty wild, right? It connects this shy little mountain animal to the tech we literally use every single day.
But this incredible cultural footprint, it kind of makes their modern story even more tragic. Because when you look past their fascinating identity, there's a much more serious story unfolding. This amazing animal is in deep, deep trouble.
This number? It's just staggering. In the last 20 years alone, the global red panda population has dropped by half, a 50% decline in 2 decades. It's like this silent collapse happening way up in the mountains, almost completely out of sight.
Right now, the best guess is that there are fewer than 10,000 red pandas left in the wild, and some experts think that number could actually be as low as 2,500. Think about that. For an animal that used to thrive across the Himalayas, these numbers mean it's right on the brink. It's officially listed as endangered on the IUCN Red List.
So what's causing this freefall? Well, the threats are pretty much all human-driven. Their ancient forest homes, they're being chopped down for timber or cleared for farms, which leaves the pandas with nowhere to live. They get poached for their gorgeous fur, or they get caught by accident in traps meant for other animals. Even livestock grazing is a problem. It tramples the bamboo they need to eat. And the real kicker? They reproduce really, really slowly, so their populations just can't bounce back from all this pressure.
To put this into perspective, just look at Nepal. It's home to a big chunk of the red pandas that are left. In one key habitat area there, the rate of deforestation is a jaw-dropping 3.2% per year. At that speed, their world is literally vanishing in front of us, one tree at a time.
Okay, so the situation is definitely dire, but it's not hopeless. Not at all. In fact, one of the most powerful weapons in the fight to save the red panda didn't start with some big research grant. It started with a global party.
Back in 2010, the Red Panda Network had this simple, but honestly brilliant idea: International Red Panda Day. The whole point was to set aside one day a year to just get the world to notice what was happening to this animal. But it wasn't just about awareness. It was about turning that attention into actual on-the-ground action and, money. And guess what? It totally worked. Now it's this huge global event that connects everyone from zoos in the US to school kids in Nepal, all for the same cause.
But that's the big question, right? It's one thing to get people to share a cute photo online, but can a hashtag or an awareness day really make a tangible difference way out there in the remote forests of the Himalayas where these animals are actually fighting for their lives?
Well, the answer is a huge, resounding yes.
Let's actually dig into how this whole idea of global awareness turns into real, measurable results where it matters most.
It really is like a direct pipeline from awareness to action. So it all starts with that global attention from the big annual event. Then that attention gets turned into funding as people, zoos, and families from all over the world donate. And finally, that money gets sent directly to local communities in Nepal and Bhutan, where it fuels the actual conservation work.
And we can see what that work looks like in cold, hard numbers. Over 100 local forest guardians have been hired and trained to patrol and protect the habitats. More than 150,000 native trees and bamboo seedlings have been planted, and over 32 hectares of vital red panda habitat have been restored. I mean, these aren't just vague goals on a website, these are real, tangible results.
And all that hard work leads to massive wins, like this one. Just this year, these efforts led to the creation of a brand new community-managed sanctuary in eastern Nepal. This is a protected zone where the local people are the ones empowered to protect the red pandas, making sure they have a safe place to thrive. This is what success looks like.
So yeah, this model of conservation clearly works. And you know what the best part is? Anyone, and I mean anyone, can get involved.
There are some really simple, direct ways you can help make a difference. You can donate. Organizations like the Red Panda Network have these Adopt a Panda programs where for around $60, your money goes straight to protecting their habitat. You can just educate people, share some of the facts you learned today. You could volunteer at your local zoo, or you can just be a more mindful shopper and avoid buying products that are linked to deforestation.
And this quote really captures the whole spirit of it, you know? It reinforces that no action is too small. Whether you're making a donation or just sharing a cool red panda fact on social media, every little bit really does build toward protecting this incredible shy species.
And that really brings us to the final thought here. For almost 2 centuries, we looked at the red panda and just completely missed that there were 2 different species hiding in plain sight. It really makes you stop and wonder. In a world where so many animals are facing these silent crises, what else are we overlooking right now? What other stories, what other species are we missing?